Oh, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on which time you're looking at this video. I'm Dark Shades, and I tend to share with you what I found difficult or what struggles I had so that you can find them easier to navigate. Now, today's topic is about stalking and harassment. Now, stalking and harassment became illegal in 1997, and that was under the Protection from Harassment Act, 1997. And what I find disturbing is that what is it about some people why they feel as though they've got to stalk and harass you. Now, it's not just men, it's women as well. I saw a video where a woman had smashed this guy's car up. Honestly, the bonnet, the dashboard, the back, the front, totally annihilated the car. She just stalked him all the time, waiting until his back was turned and waited until he went out in his other car or out with whoever he went out with, and smashed that car. Similarly, you have men who do the same, especially in domestic abuse situations where the victim has made a run for it, she's getting on with her own life, they found out somehow where she is, and so they start stalking and harassing, trying to get her back under their control. A lot of these men are narcissists. They only have their own agenda. They're only interested in what they want. They don't really care about the individual. It's about their ego, and the narcissist cannot be a one-over. You cannot say that you are the one that's going to leave. You cannot say you're the one that wants it to finish. They have to do that, and they won't do that because they want you under their control. So once a victim or a past victim has managed to get out of the clutch of a narcissist who happens to be also an abuser, you'll find that that person will track her down and telephone her, trying to win her back over. They'll say anything. They'll go over all the things you found wrong in the relationship, and they will make out like they're going to make a change. They're going to say, oh, look, I know I did this. I won't do it again. I've learnt this. I've been to counselling. I've done everything I can. I'm a new person. They will do literally everything to get back into your life so they can get that control. And they will win you over by playing by the rules, I'll call it, for a little while before they go back even worse than how they were before, because it's a trap. So you find people who harass you under the guise that, oh, they can't do without you, they love you, they miss you, they want you back, whatever it is they keep saying. It's really their ego that's driving them. And what, I'm going to give you some statistics here. Around 2 women are killed each week. 130,000 children live in the homes where there's domestic abuse. On average, high-risk victims live with domestic abuse 2 to 3 years before they report it to authorities. 85% of victims sought help 5 times from professionals in the year before they received effective help. 40% of high-risk victims report having mental health issues, and 64% of them developed PTSD. Now, you might wonder, those are statistics for domestic abuse, but domestic abuse is linked to stalking and harassment. Because remember, domestic abuse isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's financial, it's there's a stream of them. I can't remember them all now, but there's about 5 things that come under domestic abuse. And emotional abuse is the worst one, because harassment and stalking comes under emotional abuse, because it gets into you and it makes you afraid, and it makes you always look around the corner. You never know if they're watching you. You don't know if they're around the corner, you know, and when they're harassing you with all these unwanted emails and phone calls and messages, you know, you have to, you know, it's all designed to keep you under control and to make you fearful and to try to coax you into coming back. Although I don't know why you'd want to go back to that, if that is what the reason is. There was, let me think, there was something else I wanted to read out. I think high risk of serious harm and murder, and behaviours include coercive control and jealousy, surveillance, not just physical violence but psychological. And also the worrying thing is that the police haven't quite got a handle of stalking and harassment. Domestic abuse, because you can see the physical signs of it, they're more likely to take notice of it. But when you're trying to say to somebody, look, I'm being stalked, I'm being harassed, the police either misrecord it or they don't record it at all, because they tend to minimise it. You know, they've got so many domestic abuse calls, so many things that are much more important as far as they're concerned, that harassment seems to be on the bottom of their list. And you can understand why it is sometimes, because sometimes harassment could be seen as quite harmless. It could just be seen as, you know, a jealous lover, and he's not really going to do anything about it. He's just going to be a nuisance. It's only when somebody gets killed as a result of it, or maimed, or something seriously happens, then all of a sudden they say, oh yeah, we've got to kind of take it seriously. But if you are a victim, or you feel as though you're being a victim, it's got to do with your feelings. It's got nothing to do with how anybody else views it. But if you feel as though you're being harassed, do document how many times that person has called you after you've told him not to. Make sure when you've told him not to, it's in a text or an email, so it's documented. Then if that person, whether it's male or female, insists on contacting you, make sure you keep a record of every message and the frequency of those messages. I mean, I think I heard something on the news the other day. Somebody called this woman 350 times in the space of an hour. I mean, he must have just been pressing redial. You know, that is some spooky shit, isn't it? I don't know what I would do. I think I would just change my number. But then you've got the worry of they know where they live, and if they can't get hold of you via the phone, what are they going to do? The only thing you've got on your side is if they are clean, in the sense that they haven't got no police record and they don't want a police record and they don't want anything like that, you can let them know that when somebody stalks and harasses, they are protected, and it is up to 5 years in prison. Now, is it worth it? You have to put that to them. I mean, tell them that first. I would not just do it, because if they're doing it without realising that maybe one, they're harassing you, or two, the consequences of harassment, they might just be on a roll and it hasn't quite dawned on them how it's affecting you. So make sure that they know. You can do that in a text. You can say, look, I feel harassed. If you contact me again, I'm afraid I am going to have to report this to the police as harassment under the, what did I call it? Under the Protection from Harassment Act 1997. You are going to need to tell them that. And then if they keep doing it, then you're just going to have to report them, and just make sure you keep logging all of those calls, all of those messages, so that you can show the police how manic this person is. Because some of them do have mental health issues. Some of them have lost their jobs. Some of them are feeling isolated. Some of them are feeling lonely. Most of them are feeling rejected. Most of them are feeling downtrodden, and they have a host of reasons why they decide that they want you. And usually men that do that to particular women is because that woman has shown an element of weakness in that relationship. She's shown that she can be won over by whatever it is, whether it's being taken out for dinner, by buying presents, you know, by doing certain things. She can be won over. Because I don't know if you probably have been in a relationship where I call it forgiving and giving somebody a second chance. But some people see that as a weakness. If you say, look, I'm really angry about that behaviour, I don't want it to happen again, it's over. And then they win you over and they say, oh, look, I know this and I know that. And you decide to say, okay, I'll give you another chance. Some people, depending on how often they do that, will see it as being able to win you over. And so when they're using this harassment, they won't even see it as harassment. They'll see it as, I'm trying to win her over. Or if it's a female, she's trying to win him over. But what happens is that the ego comes into play. Their rationale goes out the window. They get angry, they get emotional, they get scared, whatever reason it is. They feel rejected. And they're thinking in their head, no, I'm not going to have her leave me like this. She's not going to be the one to leave me. He's not going to leave me for somebody else. I don't want him with anybody else. Or he doesn't want to see her with anybody else. I'm the only one who's supposed to have her. Nobody's going to have her but me. And they go on this mental rampage. And you don't want that to happen. If you can cool it down, then that's fine. But some of these people, you know, you have to be really, really careful, because many a woman has been killed because she's tried to resolve it herself. She's tried to go and have a coffee and it's all been twisted and it's been seen as though she's colluding. And that person who's harassing knows that if that woman relents and says she's going to go meet him for coffee, he knows that her case is broken. So she can't do that. All she can do is stick to her guns as hard as it is. So ladies, gentlemen, I hope you're not going through this stalking thing, because it's not nice. I feel harassed sometimes, you know, because, you know, you get people who just don't know when to let go. You know, you've left somebody like 3 or 4 years ago, and yet every week or every day they text and they call, and you're like, look, you know, I don't want to see you, and then they're still texting and calling. You end up blocking them. And it's not nice to have to block somebody, but sometimes you have to block them. And then they pop up on FaceTime or which other gadget they've managed to find that can override the blocking mechanism. And it feels uncomfortable. So just look after yourself, keep safe, do document, don't minimize. And if you do feel concerned, tell somebody. And if you feel really frightened, go to the police. That's all for now.